Please welcome Henry to the stage. This is a unique opportunity we have. Henry and I have been friends for 7 years. We were sponsored by the same private equity firm in the past. For just a little bit about ZoomInfo, Henry, it's a pretty amazing story, founded the company in his dorm room in law school. And it has now grown to a $1 billion revenue with 4,000 employees, $11 billion market cap. He's done a phenomenal job. We're talking backstage, many of the folks here are actual clients and customers of Henry. And, I think we want to dig into, we have a very limited time this morning, so I don't want to talk any more about this. And I really want to talk about, what ZoomInfo does. And I'm going to just paraphrase some notes that I wrote up, and Henry and I talked through. And ZoomInfo, not only does it focus on the go-to-market, but it helps salespeople engage with IT or procurement leaders and help them grow their contact base, lead generation, and it also helps structure the go-to-market. One of the things that I've noticed in the past, Henry has an incredibly well-structured go-to-market. He spent a lot of time in developing that, and his go-to-market engine is incredible, and he's going to talk a little bit about that and tell us his story. But without further ado, I don't want to, because I've already wasted 2 minutes. I'm going to turn it over to Henry. He's going to talk a little bit about his story and ZoomInfo.
Great, thanks, Tony. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I think there are a couple of things that I wanted to talk about here that Tony threaded. And one is we help go-to-market teams, sales teams, marketing teams, find their next best customer. That's our business. It starts with a database of 200 million companies and 100 million business professionals at those companies and signals and insights that are around it. That's a great business. It's over $1 billion in revenue. We're publicly traded, went public in June 2020. But really, the strategic differentiator of our business is how we actually go to market as well. How we use technology and data and insights to make go-to-market a strategic differentiator of our business. Along the way, over the last 16 years, we've done 15 acquisitions. And so we've been in a place to do multiple acquisitions of either competitors or adjacent technologies. And what we learned along the way was sometimes the biggest difference between us and our closest competitor was just the way that we went to market. It was more efficient, it was more effective, it used data, it used technology. And so all of a sudden you would find two businesses that were selling the same thing to the same buyer, but one was far more valuable than the other because one had figured out this go-to-market motion. We had figured out how to engage with buyers in our target market in a technologically data-driven way that was really efficient, was driving incredibly high margins. Today, the business is $1 billion plus in revenue. We're doing that with 40% margins, and the business is growing 40+% a year. Those are different metrics for technology companies, and it really all comes back to this go-to-market motion that we're able to run. When we made our first acquisition was a close competitor of ours called RainKing. When we made that acquisition, it was in 2017, and the two companies were selling to the same buyers in the same market, and one was far more efficient than the other, and it all came down to the go-to-market motion. We did another major acquisition, an $800 million acquisition in 2019, that looked exactly similarly. The company we acquired was actually the company was called ZoomInfo. We ended up changing our name to the acquired company's name. But a great business, growing fast, but not doing it efficiently. And so when we brought the companies together, the strategic vision was, hey, can we take a company that's growing fast in a great market and apply our go-to-market motion to that company to make it grow faster and more efficiently? And we were able to do that along the way. And so we really view go-to-market efficiency and go-to-market effectiveness as a key strategic differentiator in a business. As big of a differentiator as your product or your service, We really believe that go-to-market is a major differentiator. And in a minute, I'm going to show you a test that we did on the attendees and the sponsors at this company to test your own go-to-market, and there's really interesting results that we can talk about. I thought I'd take a second to talk about sort of everybody here and us as well. Our industries have all changed pretty dramatically over the last decade, over the last 2 decades. When we started our company, ZoomInfo, what we started selling to our customers were big reports, sort of 20-page reports about what was happening inside the IT departments of the largest businesses in the country. And so you would get this report and you'd learn what was happening inside of GE's IT department, who the CIO was, what technologies they used. It was long form, like practically a book report. That was 20 years ago. 15 years ago, we started adding contact information to these reports. So our customers were telling us, hey, this is great. Now I know everything that's happening at GE or GM or Walmart, but I actually need to do something with that information. I need to engage with a CIO or a VP of infrastructure or a VP of networking or a VP of data center. And I have no idea who those people are, and I have no way to actually engage them. And so we started adding contact information into the platform so that our customers were able to leverage that. And then 10 years ago, our customers said, hey, this is really interesting, but what I really need to know is when a company is actually in market for my products or services. How do I use this to know when someone is actually out there ready to buy a product like mine? Because I don't want to miss those opportunities, and I need to have my salespeople be in front of these key buyers at exactly the right time. And so we've added, in our product, tremendous amount of signals in the information. And if you go through your sales teams and you go ask your best sales reps, tell me a key moment that happens at a company that indicates that they're going to be in market for our products and services. And that can be anything from they visited our booth at a conference, they just hired a new CIO, they just opened in a new location in an area that we service, they just hired a new VP of infrastructure, they visited our website 5 times in the last 2 days. Sales reps at your companies, they know those key moments. And then they're running some kind of go-to-market motion behind those key moments. That's usually really analog. It's not digital. It's ad hoc. You don't pick up all of it. And so when you have a great sales rep, in their territory, they may do a really good job, but it tends not to scale across your organization. And so 10 years ago, what we started thinking about is how do you take these key selling signals that are happening in your accounts every day, and how do you create and automate those signals so that you can take advantage of all of those signals happening across all of your account base? How do I take advantage of every time a key buyer leaves a company or gets hired at a company? How do I take advantage of every time one of the companies in my total addressable market starts researching about my competitors, about products and services that I sell? And how do I make sure that I can leverage technology to be in front of those companies at exactly those right times? And so we started adding in signals to our platform. And so now you have all of these signals, you have all of this data, how do you take advantage of it? And this is what I think is really interesting, because go-to-market in the last 10 years and the way companies go to market, the tools that they have at their disposal has changed tremendously. But the way we actually run a motion and actually build an engine behind our company, it doesn't. It hasn't. So let me ask you guys a question. Hopefully someone can yell it out. What do you think is the best signal that indicates a company is interested in buying your products and services? What's the best signal, the best digital signal you could pick up? Ask for a quote. Okay, great. What's the digital version of that? They fill out a form on your website. Somebody comes to your website. Your marketing team has probably spent millions of dollars trying to drive traffic to your website. When someone gets to your website, only 2% of the people who land on your website ever even fill out a form. Then the people who do fill out a form, they go through a bunch of, probably an eight field form. They fill it out. That is your best digital signal of a customer who's interested in your business. Now, if I asked you, of 100 people who fill out a form on your website, how many of those 100 do you think your companies are getting back to? Hopefully you're thinking 100. or 99 or 98. 90, at least, if we're spending all this money getting people to our website, at least we're calling back 99 or 98 of them. So we tested you. People who came to this conference, we had the list ahead of time. We came to your websites. We filled out a form with a CXO who works at ZoomInfo. We're a $1 billion business, publicly traded. We're a great target for all of your products and services. We went out and we filled out a form on your website. And then this is what we found. Not very many of you respond to the highest signal that someone wants to buy your products and services. And when I say not that many, I really mean not that many. So this is what it looked like. We went in, we filled out the form on all of your websites, and then we tracked what you guys did. 70% of you didn't respond at all to the lead. 70% of companies who received this lead on their website, they did not respond at all. Not an email, not a phone call, nothing. By the way, I have all of your results. There's going to be a QR code in a minute that you can scan, and we'll send you your results. It's highly unlikely you're in the category of people who responded or responded well. So 70% don't respond at all to the signal that's most indicative that you want to buy a product or service. 12% of the responses, only 12% of that 30% that responded at all, only 12% of them responded within 30 minutes of the inquiry. That's a tiny, tiny percentage. Then response activity died down after the first day. Nobody followed up. They didn't respond to any additional contacts. So great, the chief information officer at a big company fills out a form on your website, then doesn't respond. Shouldn't you be talking to other people at the company? Shouldn't we be reaching out to the VP of infrastructure, or the VP of the data center, or the VP of networking, or the head of procurement? Should we just have one single point of failure for every person who shows the highest level of interest in our products and services? Of course not. And then in most cases, there was no response, and less than 3% of the companies we tested close to 200 companies, only 3% even tried more than one time, sent more than one email, made more than one phone call, less than 3%. So I'm talking about all of these ways that you can revolutionize the way that you go to market, the way that you can use data and insights to identify your next customer. And we're not even calling the leads back that fill out forms on our website. And it's a painful reality. But maybe you're sitting there and going like, so what? What does it matter? They'll call again, or we'll see them at a conference. Well, it matters. It matters a lot. If you get back to your leads within the first 60 minutes, you have a 10x higher likelihood of qualifying that lead and getting them to sale. If you miss within the first 5 to 30 minutes, or the odds of qualifying a lead in 5 minutes versus 30 minutes drops 21x. Just think about that. The odds of qualifying a lead that fills out a form on your website in 5 minutes versus 30 minutes, in 30 minutes it drops 21x. 21x. So when your highest signal, you have to build systems that get you in front of these interested buyers as soon as possible. And from 5 minutes to 10 minutes, just 5 minutes to 10 minutes, it drops 4x. Your likelihood of converting that lead drops 4x. At ZoomInfo, we get back to you in 90 seconds. Go to our website, fill out a form. Someone will call you within 90 seconds. And it's going to be a rep that's been algorithmically chosen to be most likely to convert you to a demo and an opportunity. And that's how we're able to run an incredibly efficient go-to-market motion, because every step of the go-to-market motion, we just incredibly focus on and make sure we don't leave any money on the floor. And so when you think about how you optimize your go-to-market motions, I think this is one place where it absolutely starts, but then it really expands out from there. So let me give you this QR code if you're interested. Tell your friends. We tested them too. Scan this code. We'll send you an email that shows you exactly how you, I want to say performed, but performed feels like maybe too rosy of a word. How poorly you performed. Hopefully some of you are in that 30% who responded or called, but very few people actually called. We left our phone number. Nobody called us. I think it was 3% of the individuals actually picked up the phone to call. So if you see your colleagues around, they can also just send an email to where that sends or when we send you back. We're also in we're in suite 1612. So if you want to come up there, we'll have printouts of your performance. And then we're hosting a happy hour tomorrow night at 6 o'clock at Morimoto, where we'll also have the printouts of your performance here. So I wanted to talk about where do you start, right? So now you're sitting here and you're going, okay, we don't respond to our leads. Henry's talking about all of this data and insights and technology that's supposed to drive an efficient go-to-market motion. Where do I even begin? And that's really actually pretty simple, and I'll walk you through the very basics of it. Number one, who's the universe of companies you want to sell to? Who are they? What is that universe? As broadly as possible, start here. What are the companies? You can do this by industry, you could do it by size, you could do it by location. Maybe you only sell to companies with over 1,000 employees. Maybe you only sell to companies with over 10,000 employees. Maybe you only sell to companies in manufacturing and logistics and financial services, whatever it is. As broadly as possible, do you have somewhere inside your company that you can easily reach and get the list of companies that are your ideal customers? Who are the people we can or should be selling to? Does that exist? If it doesn't, gotta go have that. How do you run a business without knowing who your best customers should be or who your customers or serviceable customers are at all? Once you have that, the next question for you is, who are my ideal decision makers at those companies? Great, I've got this list of companies. Who are the people that we sell to? Are they the CIOs? Are they the CTOs? Are they the heads of procurement? Are they the VPs of data center or infrastructure? What are the titles and the seniority levels of the people you sell to inside of those accounts? When you get those two foundational pieces, the next question that you want to ask is, what makes a great target? What takes somebody from being an ideal customer to being a great target we should be focusing on? And that looks like, what technologies do they currently use? Do they use AWS? Do they use Azure? Do they use Google Cloud? Do they use a bunch of cloud technologies, Salesforce, Oracle, whatever it is? What are the technologies that they use? What's their growth rate maybe? How many locations do they have? Maybe that's indicative of a really great fit of a client. How many people are in a company with a specific title? Title density we use often. So how many people have the VP of data center title? How many people have a facility manager of data center title? What is the density of titles within my ideal customers that would indicate that they're an even greater fit? By the way, ZoomInfo sells this, so you could come and just pull this all up inside of ZoomInfo. But if I have those three things, then the next thing I'm thinking about is, how do I automate a motion behind the companies who are currently in market for my products and services? And so that's what this looks like. What are the signals that I may want to build a motion around? So those signals can be, a company in my ideal customer profile visited my website. A company in my ideal customer profile started researching a competitor of mine. This is information that's available. ZoomInfo customers have access to something called intent data that tells them when their ideal customers are researching their competitors, when their ideal customers are researching or increasing research in their products and services, maybe keywords like data center security or data center infrastructure, or data center architecture, or mesh networks. I want to know when companies are increasing their research on these topics and keywords that indicate that they're in market for my products and services. Maybe a key moment for you is when a company hires a new CIO or CTO or VP of IT or VP of procurement. Maybe it's that you have a champion who had bought services from you at Walmart and they just moved to Target. And you want to run a motion behind those people because it indicates that they're in market for your products and services. Well, the coolest thing you can do when you have data on companies and you have data on people who work at those companies and you surround that with signals is that you can actually automate a go-to-market motion behind them, a play. So you don't have to rely on that 1 or 2 awesome sales reps who run this motion in an ad hoc way. Instead, you can use technology that exists and is widely available. It's not ChatGPT, it's widely available, that you can use today to say, listen, when a prospect in my ICP spikes on intent for data center architecture, starts researching data center architecture in an increased way, I want to capture my 10 core persona contacts at that company. I want to send them an email. I want to tell the sales rep to call them. I want to start a display ad campaign behind them. And every time that happens, I want an automated motion to happen behind that every single time. Maybe the CIO move was one that you guys heard and said, you know what? That's right. Every time a CIO comes into a company, they start spending more. I want to be in front of every new CIO that shows up in my ideal customer profile. Great. Automate that motion. Your best sellers are, for sure they are. And so you can say, listen, when a prospect in my ICP hires a new CIO, hires a new CTO, hires a new data center VP, get me 10 of my best persona contacts at that company and start an email campaign, start a call campaign, start putting display ads for our company up in front of them. Coordinate that motion so I never miss out on a key opportunity like that. And then this is kind of what it looks like when you go in and build this. It's really pretty simple. Does anyone in this room not have a CRM or marketing automation system? So you already have the foundational technology that you need to be able to run this motion. All you have to do is pull in the right data, the right signals, the right insights to be able to key out key motions that happen within your CRM and marketing automation systems. This is absolutely where go-to-market is going. Go-to-market, in 10 years from now, if you're not responding to the form fills on your website, you're probably not going to have a company anymore. And so there is a rapid change in the way people are leveraging data and technology to win, to get a strategic advantage. I bought my 2 biggest competitors, one for $800 million, one for $250 million, because I ran a better go-to-market motion than them. It was kind of that simple. And so we spend a lot of time thinking about how do we optimize our product, how do we optimize our partnerships, how do we optimize our business development motion, how do we get our marketing program out in the right countries, our branding is so important, what's our messaging? And then we don't respond to form fills. And then we don't run our go-to-market motions in a smart, insightful way. And this is a way you win. You absolutely win running a better go-to-market motion than your competitors. Tony said it, I've said it already. We're a $1 billion revenue business growing 40% a year. We've been public since 2020. And that success is built on top of running a really refined, optimized go-to-market motion everywhere that we look. And it starts with these plays, and it starts with data, and it starts with speed to lead. How quickly am I responding to the signals that are most indicative of a buyer who's interested in my products or services? We really believe this. When you talk to your heads of sales or your chief revenue officer or your CEOs, my sense is that often what they'll tell you is add another head, sell more product. Add another head, sell more service. You want to grow, add more account executives. You want to grow, add more sellers. That works, right? That's the line on the left. You can't argue with the industrial logic of that. It's also the least efficient way to grow your business. We really believe, and it's been proven time and time again, that when you add data and technology to an already existing sales force, the linearity of one additional sales rep equals more growth really changes. It starts looking like the graph to the right. All of a sudden, you get more out of every resource that you put into the machine. Great. There's more that we all can be doing around go-to-market. You should be thinking about how to make your go-to-market a strategic advantage. Again, that's the QR code. I can probably take a couple questions if we have time.
Yeah.
Or if you have questions, Tony.
Well, first of all, I was going to say, I've been using the platform for quite some time. It's been fantastic. We don't have time, but in the past, Henry's done a live call here, which is actually awesome, and they do return within 90 seconds.
Yep.
It's pretty embarrassing for the first person who's sitting there and gets the call and didn't realize it was coming. But you know, I've had the pleasure of working with Henry's platforms. It's been fantastic. It's actually been an incubator for business, so encourage everybody to be in touch. I think there are some folks in the back from ZoomInfo.
Yeah, so we have a team here. If you guys want to raise your hand, we're sponsoring the next networking break, which is kind of right now. So if you wanted to go talk to them about how you could leverage ZoomInfo to really make go-to-market your strategic advantage, we're here for the rest of the week, and we hope to either see you at the networking break in our suite in 1612 or at our happy hour tomorrow night at 6 o'clock at Morimoto.
Are there any questions from anybody? Any questions? I have one.
Okay, give it to me.
We're in a really unique economic state right now.
Yep.
There's challenges we're facing. Companies are somewhat retrenching in terms of their spend. What are you seeing from, how are you adapting your go-to-market to what's happening economically today?
Yep. So I think the biggest thing that we're doing is we're looking at the investments that we're making across the business, and we're prioritizing those investments to the things that have the biggest return. And so in 21, we made a lot of bets across a lot of different places, and some of those really paid off. Some of those are slower to pay off. And so as we move forward in 22, what we're saying is, let's focus on the investments that are key, that are returning the highest amounts, and let's put our resources behind those investments. We've made changes like we had an overlay sales team that wasn't quota'd, and so we're taking quota off the street, and we're putting quota back in. We're getting rid of the overlay sales teams and really driving enablement to all of our sellers so that they're able to sell all of our products, and so there's more quota out there. And then we're just reprioritizing where we spend to make sure we're getting the most out of every dollar we're putting out.
Has COVID, you know, we've all had more time, we haven't been traveling as much. Now we're getting back into it. But during COVID, did it give you the ability to kind of reset? Hey, let's figure out where the efficiencies are, let's figure out where, it sounds like that was happening now.
Yeah, we did that at the beginning of COVID.
Right.
But it was like a blip, because for us, you kind of had this blip in March, and then by like the end of April, you kind of came back to normalcy. Okay. And so we made some sort of restructuring, but then, you know, from April through, you know, today, we've kind of been just kind of off to the races.
Yeah. Which has been fantastic, and I think you're continuing to see growth even in the challenges.
Yeah, we continue. We grew 46% last quarter. Yeah. We continue to see really great growth opportunities.
And obviously there's excellent
As long
growth.
as people are not responding to people who fill out their forms, we're going to have a great business for many, many years to come.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously you have many of your customers are here.
Yes.
Data center and telecoms providers.
Yes. We started the business focused on IT decision makers, and so this has really been our sweet spot. And so Tony was back there saying, you know, is Equinix a customer? Is Cologix a customer? Is Telus a customer? Those are all customers of ours. You may also be a customer and not know it. It might just be in your sales department. But if you're not, the next 3 or 4 years are going to really challenge everybody to be really efficient in the way that they acquire customers. There's no question about that. And when you turn the corner on 22, all of a sudden investors stopped talking about growth at all costs, and they started talking about unit economics and how you grow efficiently and how you get your next best customer in the most efficient way. That's going to be a highlight of how the next 5 years are going to look. And so this topic is going to become increasingly more important to every executive out there.
Thank you, Henry.
Cool.
This was awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate everybody, and enjoy the rest of PTC. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, everybody.